Welcome to the OC. I'm Phil, and this is my co-host Corey. And tonight we're talking about a bunch of dirty, filthy Nazi scumbag lunatics.
Don't hold back, Phil. Okay. Tell us how you really feel about Nazis.
Yeah. Fuck, man. We do a lot about Nazis. We must really
do a lot. We are not the Nazi podcast. However,
we are not a Nazi
we have
podcast.
much
we
like
Nazis.
Popular fiction. Yeah, I don't think there's a single well, I can't say there's not a single person. Fair enough.
Careful.
I'm sure there's an awful lot of people who love Nazis. We are not one of them.
We are not them. No. So Murphy's Ranch.
No, Murphy Ranch. Not Murphy's.
Murphy. Not Murphy's.
Murphy. That's right.
Like
Murphy's.
Murphy Brown.
Murphy's.
Like Murphy Brown.
Like it's more like Murphy Brown. Because Murphy's was something like, it's Murphy's arm that got blown off in RoboCop.
Oh, yeah. Murph. Hey, Murph.
Yeah. I always got Peter Weller and Phil Collins confused for some reason.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. Funny,
it's the big forehead. Peter Weller was awesome. He was a great RoboCop. I had a hard time watching the new ones. I don't know.
I didn't. They weren't the same as the old one. So the old one was satirical, right? It was corporate greed. It was dystopia. It was all that stuff. The new one
Oscorp. Right? Wasn't it OCP?
Yeah.
I love that. Who was the guy? He was in that TV show, like about the 60s. What was it? That 60s show or that 70s show? The dad was the bad guy in RoboCop. What's that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. The big drug dealer.
The drug dealer with the glasses. And he was like, he was a fucking great bad guy. I don't know. Anyway.
That scene where the one guy hits the toxic waste tank, that freaked me out for about 15 years.
Puke. Oh, yeah. What a great movie.
Anyway, we've completely gone off tangent right now.
So Murphy Ranch.
Murphy Ranch.
Tell me about California. Murphy Ranch, because California, it's nice and sunny. Nazis like sun. They like to bake in the California sun.
Like the raisin. Are you thinking of California raisins? Or are we still talking about Nazis?
Nazis, raisins, same difference.
Yeah. Grapes left out in the sun.
Both devoid of souls.
The California raisins were blues singers, so you cannot say they were devoid of souls.
You're right. They
were
right.
Abundantly. They were full of souls. They were the ones that were full of souls. They
full
took from
souls,
the Nazis,
but no seeds. Remember. So
to summarize,
go ahead.
For tonight,
Summarize a little bit for me.
All right. We are dealing with Murphy Ranch. Murphy Ranch was in the 1930s supposed to be Hitler's little California hideaway, or that's one of the theories.
Yeah.
It was a place set up by
Winona and Norman Stevens.
Correct. Who may or may not have been fifth columnists. We're not sure. But this was a weird fortification.
Fucking story. Is what it is.
It is weird, right? And particularly when we get into details about what the compound was and that. Like this was
and to be clear, Hitler had no idea this was happening.
Not at all.
No. This was the brainchild of someone who we don't even know his real name. Herr Schmidt.
That's right. That's the Red Skull's name.
Schmidt.
Schmidt. That's the Red Skull. So I don't know. Maybe it was the same guy. Who knows?
Yeah. So, but yeah, these people, so they had some money, right?
They had. So our good friends, Winona and Norman, apparently were a wealthy Los Angeles couple.
Right.
He claimed to be a successful mining engineer, and she was a Chicago heiress, apparently.
Yeah. So she had dough.
This whole ranch ran them about $4 million at the end of the day, which is about $66 million now.
In the 30s.
Yeah.
Like $4 million, it was a big deal to be a millionaire in the 30s.
Particularly spend it all on a hideaway for Hitler, right?
They didn't get a lot for their money.
They did not. So these two went off and they fell under the sway, apparently, of this Herr Schmidt fellow who was supposed to have preternatural powers. Like any
she was
guru.
A big believer in this shit, like in the occult.
She was drinking the Kool-Aid and probably a bunch of other stuff.
She was
at
doing
the time.
Something. Yeah. And he was very convincing. But now this is in the 30s. So this is the other part, is that Hitler wasn't really. I mean, there was no signs yet that the war was coming, but I think there was a
build. There was certainly a buildup, right? Because you're
Jews
looking at
are leaving Germany at this point.
And the Nazis were a thing. They were very much, they had risen to power, and they were making various plays. And anybody who could read the signs and say, shoot, war, we're getting the sequel to the War to End coming up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that Hitler became like chancellor at that point. And that's when, so this guy's like, okay, well, he's going to win. He's going to declare war and win. But there's a lot of foresight on this Herr Schmidt fellow. When you think about this, like preparing for the world domination of Germany in 33.
He did claim psychic powers. So let's not forget that. He claimed to be able to predict the future, and his future involved Europe losing, Germany winning, everybody else losing. And
I read this little article about this, and he said that it was going to be the next world leader was going to be like a house painter. So Hitler's.
I didn't read that. Oh, that's interesting.
So it is interesting, because I'm like, what the fuck? So Hitler, believe it or not, before all the military,
he was an artist. I don't think he painted houses, but he was an artist.
He also painted houses to make money. He wasn't he couldn't. It wasn't that.
Imagine if your house was painted by Hitler. Like, is that like meant to be a horror kind of stuff? Like, is there somebody in Germany right now?
Apparently, it was quite good.
You could cut like the best of them, right?
He's like painting trim. I very much like to paint the trim this way, You
get many years out of this.
Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you do not like my painting? Oh, fuck. You don't want to be in his bad side. Yeah. So he has a whole list of addresses. Yeah, collect these people at the end of the day. Yeah. So, well, he said that, the next will be, he was a house painter. So it fit the prophecy, this prophecy of some sort that Herr Schmidt had
again,
designed.
Because of his supernatural powers that he managed to beguile everybody with.
Well, not everybody, especially Winona. She was particularly, subdued. And most of us know what the wife wants, the wife gets.
Happy wife, happy life. It's
absolutely.
Not quite
I am
warrior in a garden proponent. Kind of level poetry, but
happy. Yeah, but it's true, right? So poor Norman's probably like, you fucking want me to what now? Okay, honey, you've got all the money. Fair enough. You want us to build a compound? Let's fucking do this. So they build it. What do they build?
Well, okay. So before we get to that.
Oh, okay.
Who bought the compound, Phil? Who bought the land, Phil?
I'm assuming they did.
No, they didn't.
Who bought it?
Jesse M. Murphy, a widower.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't read that.
May or may not have been Herr Schmidt operating under an alias.
Really?
It's called Murphy Ranch because Jesse Murphy had purchased it. However, there's some debate as to whether or not Jesse Murphy. So there's no debate that Jesse Murphy was not a person. Everything seems to say
that it was all staged. Okay.
So
I didn't really read that. All I read was that they had somehow taken ownership of this property.
Yeah.
So they did buy it from this Jesse Murphy then?
No. So Jesse Murphy still was the owner of it, but it was either Herr Schmidt operating as Jesse Murphy who purchased the property, or the Stevens acting as Jesse Murphy. So, and this was back in the day, right? Where it's like, okay,
you got an X as your signature.
How are you going to prove it? Oh, Jesse Murphy. All right. Well,
yeah. Well, you said it's his.
They purchased it, right?
Yeah, I guess somebody did.
They showed up for cash and said, "Here, make it out."
Which they would have had no shortage of. They had lots of money. So they were German. They figured he was a spy, right? That was what I read too.
For Herr Schmidt?
Herr Schmidt was a German spy.
They said Hitler's agent. I've heard the term, but again, I said, right, everything I've read suggests that Hitler was like, I mean, they were all for fomenting, chaos and rebellion elsewhere. Yeah. But I don't think it was like, okay, Herr Schmidt, go be a psychic and buy a ranch and build me a ark.
I don't
cubits
think
in length and
Yeah, cubits. All right. But yeah, so there wasn't a lot to read about this. I went through, I even texted, I'm like, all right, buddy, do you get anything on this? Because I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, there wasn't a lot that I could find.
Most of what I found was piecemeal. So this was certainly a struggle for me. Now, part of it is because of the age of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is again, we're talking 1930s, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I would have thought there would be more stuff, because anytime you get homegrown Nazis, and that's kind of what we were dealing with here,
I think
there would be more stuff.
You would think so. Like I know that some of the stuff that I did read was sort of under fascists, right? So their idea was to be, they were anti-Semite. This Herr Schmidt blamed the Jews for all sorts of stuff, which tends to be very a fascist sort of way. So their idea was, and this could be just me putting together all the fascist shit I read, but it was to
read a lot of fascist shit, Phil.
There was a lot of fascism. My God, I'm fascist up to the top of my head right now. But yeah, there was to remove the Jews, and they would have like one city per state.
The walled-in cities. You read that part?
Yes.
This was part of the plan.
And the blacks would be made to be slaves again. And this was all part of their movement, is that they could use the blacks as slaves, and that the Jews, because they couldn't be made into slaves, they would either be exiled into these, walled, like you said, walled communities and starve basically to death or what have you. I mean, that's what I foresaw. Oh yeah, you live in these communities where we don't give you enough food and you have to eat each other.
Yeah, just bizarre
some sort
stuff,
of wonderful little Nazi chaos that these people would think of.
Kind of the ghettoization you saw where they would in Germany actually, and I think that's where some of the stuff starts to come from, right? Where you see the pogroms they're doing where they're rounding up the Jews. It's like, hey, that's what we should incorporate into our awesome plan, whatever it was they were thinking.
What's weird is that in 1933, like this would be at the beginning of when Hitler started to, cause segregation and really start to push the envelope of anti-Semitism and all sorts of stuff. Like, he had someone to blame, and that's what you always need when you're trying to get people to do what you want.
You need scapegoats, Phil.
Got to pick a side, man. Got to pick a side.
It's not just picking a side. You got to have scapegoats, somebody you can go off and say, they are responsible. It's not me that screwed everything up. It's not you. It's them.
It's them. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. Whoever them is. Well, it's always the Jews. Poor Jews. So much. I feel
for them. I mean, they've suffered a lot.
Dude.
And continue to suffer.
It's insane. I don't even understand. It's like history's whipping boy. Like,
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Anyway.
So about the compound. So let's talk about, before we get onto the more interesting stuff, let's talk about the actual compound. So Phil, what were some of the features of this delightful little hideaway in the Southern California?
$4 I would have thought would have got you a lot more than what they implemented. So they had a springs for water. They had a a generator system, which I'm not sure what that would have cost.
It's not like something like what we have for a generator, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be more like something like rudimentary diesel generator of some sort.
But like a power plant level, geez. Like this was something
huge.
Designed
It's big. Yeah, it's designed to for manufacturing probably of bullets, munitions, all sorts of crazy shit. Or that's my guess. And then they fenced it off. That was one of the other things. They put fencing, and I think what they were trying to do was to have shelving, like sort of what do you call that?
Terraces?
Terrace. Yeah, like a terrace sort of thing for gardening, and they wanted it to be a self-sufficient compound, is what they wanted it to be.
Yeah, they had something like 3,000 trees or something. It was like fruit trees, farm fields.
Well, and that's it. But over the course of time, they had staff on. So what I guess there was accounts from neighbors that they were, they would see armed guards patrolling the areas. So there was at one point 50 people, I think.
Yeah, that's what I heard. 50 people. Now let's not forget the bomb shelter they built. So apparently the Stevens were living out of a steel garage, but there was a bomb shelter that had been built. Yeah. A solid concrete building. Now it was part of a power plant, but part of it was apparently a bomb shelter.
Yeah, they had made living quarters in this garage, and that's but it was, I don't know. The idea was that they were going to build something suitable for when Hitler came to visit after conquering the world, that he would have a, beautiful place and a luxurious, a 4-story mansion, 22 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, but never fucking happened.
Well, they spent $4 million on a bunch of fruit trees and apparently a lot of barbed wire. So
barbed wire and diesel. I would assume it's diesel, or maybe it's coal.
No, they say a 20,000 gallon fuel oil tank. So I'm thinking their generator was running
coal.
Yes.
Well, oil is usually a crude diesel. Diesel's crude oil. It would burn. We would have had. You could burn diesel in your oil furnace, for instance.
It's not a good idea.
It's really the same thing. It's just how you pay for it is it's almost virtually the same. They add a dye to it. Yeah, they tinge. It's actually, So, and you pay 3 times as much for it for home consumption because you need it. Right. So,
because you need it.
So I remember the old man and I, we were really poor. And I remember we would go and we had gas cans and we would buy diesel and pour fucking diesel into, and we burned that all the time. It was a pain in the ass because how big those oil tanks can be. And did you have oil heat or were you electric heat?
We were electric, then gas. So I remember the electric.
Oh, you
heater.
had gas heat? Oh.
Well, okay. Later on, we had gas heat. When I was young, it was electric, and I remember, it was forced air electric. So I think upstairs we had radiators, but we also had there's some ducts and vents, which you'd think would be.
That's usually
usually, but unfortunately, I don't think anything ever came of them. I think they were more like cold air returns, and I don't think they were actually hooked up to because the furnace was in the basement, and I don't remember ever seeing something going through the walls because the ducts were like that, but my walls were that. So I was the one who had to go under whenever the furnace didn't work.
I remember you telling me that.
Dad screaming down there, "What do you see? Spiders! Lots of spiders!
Lots of. I saw a rat. I don't want." Yeah, there's something living down here. No, we burned wood. That was our big thing.
Melissa wants a wood furnace or a wood stove.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't ever want to.
I actually have a gas installation happening tomorrow and Thursday. Cross my fingers.
Good. So yeah. But we're off topic again.
Completely.
Yeah.
So they had big dreams for this utopia, right? The idea was this was supposed to be a self-sufficient, and Herr Schmidt was very clear. This needed to be self-sufficient for the eventual chaos that would happen when Germany won. They beat the world at their national sport again. No, they lost the first time.
Yes, badly. But yeah, and not only that. So you have 50 people. So you're developing a militia of some sort. I would suspect you have
certainly like-minded followers, right?
Followers, yeah. So how does it end for them? And I don't want to get off track, or do you want to go somewhere else with this?
Well, I don't know. So it depends on what you mean by how it ended for them. How it ended for them is they wind up selling the place eventually. However,
they got shut down after Pearl Harbor. That was in 41.
So this is where we're sort of getting ahead, but we can get ahead and then we'll come back. Pearl Harbor happens. Not surprisingly, anybody who's spouting Nazi ideology or suspected of spouting it is probably in a hurting way. And a bunch of the followers gets. Now, I don't believe our good friends, Wyona and Norman, ever actually get caught up in the whole grab that happens. I don't believe so.
I don't know. There wasn't enough, and that's why it doesn't seem to have a lot of information, right? And you're going back to the 30s, and Nazis typically are really good record keepers. They're like probably one of the best in history of.
Well, apparently they found a bunch of plans on site for a lot of the stuff we're talking about the
the architectural drawings,
what they wanted to do, all the awesomeness.
They had a lot of taste. Like Paul Revere Williams, very famous, architectural artist guy, did all the wrought iron gates for
probably where all the 4 million went. We have a really nice gate, guys.
Right. And he did a bunch of drawings as well. And but anyway, his quote was, "They may have been Nazis, but they were Nazis with taste." That's a Paul Revere quote, because he's like, "Fuck it, I'll take your money. Sure, I'm not above that. Whatever." So you can only imagine what that would have cost. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, Winona, we just blew half of the budget on gates.
A gate. It's not like this is the whole fencing. It's like, we got a really good gate. It's awesome.
It's an investment though in our future. What?
Well, funny enough, it was a bit of it because again, it's still there.
Yeah, well, it is. And right now, I mean, people use this as like, ghost hunters go there, writers, amateur, historians, hikers. Yeah. They wander through the woods.
Yeah, because it's available, right?
Because it's available, yeah.
So when you talk about how things ended. So here's something, there was a Los Angeles Times article titled "Trouble for Traders." So this was from June 30th, 1940. Yeah. And it sort of talks about our buddy, Mr. Schmidt. Schmidt.
Yes.
Out in Santa Monica, only a few days ago, a man who is a veteran of the World War, not realizing, there's another one coming.
There's one coming.
Answered the doorbell one night. "There is dot Herr Schmidt lives." The caller asked in broken English. The former flyer appraised the man quickly, then smiled and directed him to Herr Schmidt's residence nearby. Within 10 minutes, the man had informed the U.S. Navy intelligence, and within 20 minutes, the investigation was on. An operative who lived in the neighborhood was assigned to the case. You may be sure that when he finishes, naval intelligence will know all about Herr Schmidt and his mysterious visitors. But whether they are right or wrong, no one but naval intelligence knows. So this sort of sets things up for, where this big swoop is coming.
Right. Yeah. Well, Herr Schmidt, it's funny because, he did like have that foresight, like that, Germany is going to, win the war and they fucking almost did. Right. Like it could have went.
They almost did, Phil, because the U.S. sat on their hands till Pearl Harbor. Like they helped. Don't get me wrong. The U.S. helped out.
Well, but not the way they could have.
Lease, but they weren't in the war. No. They weren't in the war till Pearl Harbor.
They were very buy America at this point,
which is fine. I mean, sure. I think the powers that be realized, crap, this is not just a European war. We've got to do something. Unfortunately, the public was like, we just fought a big war, 20 years back, the war to end all wars. Do we really want to start another one?
Right. Well, and that's it. And, you have to kind of look at it like, there's these fascist groups all over these little fucking splinter cells of German supporters all through the United States. Right.
Are you familiar with the term fifth columnist?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Well,
so
you're going to tell me though.
I am going to tell you what the term fifth column means.
Okay. Tell me.
Okay. So the origin of the term fifth columnist, and this is something, if you would read any pulp novels or pulp movies, they used to talk about this all the time. It was the big rage, right? So its original origin is credited to Emilio Mola Vidal, a nationalist general during the Spanish Civil War.
Okay.
As 4 of his army columns moved on Madrid, the general referred to his militant supporters within the capital as the fifth column. So that took to mean that the whole idea that you've got people that are secretly supporting the enemy.
Like Gladio. Right. Yeah. This all goes back to these secret armies, which did exist. Right. No, and I get that. Like, that's the thing is that, and even to this day, you have to go, oh my God, like Ku Klux Klan. Look at these bastards. Right. I hate to say that out loud.
I don't think they're the power they once were, Phil. I think you're safe.
But
I mean, you are up in north, so maybe the North shall rise again.
Yeah, I hope not. But neo-Nazism, you've got the KKK. There's all these like different groups, and now you have a different branch where it's Muslims, and it's the Eastern kind of hatred towards all these other people. So it's funny. Like hate doesn't go away.
It seems like we can't get enough of it. And everybody's looking for a reason to hate others, unfortunately.
Well, and that's it. And I looked at a few other kind of situations that were quite similar, like the Silver Legion. Actually,
this is the big one. So this is the one that is most associated with Murphy Ranch.
Yes.
I would say it's not tenuous. It apparently is the linkage, I guess.
Right.
But everything I read says, okay, those guards you were talking about at Murphy Ranch.
Yeah.
Apparently they were Silver Legionnaires.
Yeah. So, and then they support each other, right? Like these are people that are like, oh, hey, you've got a group. Well, so that was, the Silver Legion of America, William Dudley Peely. He was such a fucking crazy nut job. Another guy who thought that he could see into the future and had mystical powers and see through walls. And, he was just this.
Apparently he wasn't completely off his nut until he had a near-death experience. And this is where he was known for his, 7 minutes to eternity.
Right. He wrote a book about that.
Art.
He wrote a book about how like he visited other worlds and other dimensions and all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Sounds like he had a bad trip on mushrooms. That's just me though. Wow.
Well, after that, he went a startling spiritual transformation.
Right.
After this incident where he had his near-death experience.
Yeah. And then he started to, like he was also a very devout Christian. This guy's a fucking loon with a cause.
He would mix Christianity and mysticism in this weird sort of sense. Yeah.
And hated the Jews.
That's a given. Okay. That's a given.
So they wore silver shirts with blue ties.
Yeah. So the silver shirt. So the Silver Legion of America was known as the silver shirts. And this was in line with the black shirts and Mussolini and the brown shirts of Hitler.
That's right.
Apparently he identified people by the shirt they're wearing.
Yeah. Well, geez. I hope I don't shop at that store.
Yeah. You don't want to be, okay. So their uniform.
Mm-hmm.
A silver shirt with a blue tie, along with a campaign hat and corduroy trousers with leggings.
Did you ever have to wear corduroys?
I remember almost setting fire once running.
You walked. It was horrible. I know,
but they were cool at the time. Or maybe they weren't, because we would have been wearing them, 80s?
80s.
Yeah, because that was all hand-me-downs.
They were from some other kid who probably had money.
In the 70s. Who had money in the 70s.
Right.
And kicked them over to Goodwill.
Yeah, I got them. They've been worn by 3 different individuals by the time I got them. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So the uniform shirt bore a scarlet letter L over the heart.
Yes.
An emblem meant to symbolize loyalty to the United States, liberation from materialism, and the Silver Legion itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or loser. I mean,
normally. Yeah, he was totally opposed to our good buddy Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
He ran against him, actually.
And he founded the Christian Party in 1935. Yeah,
I know.
And ran for president in 1936, winning. He won. What was it? 1,600 votes.
Yeah, exactly. 1,500 votes. Okay, in Washington, that's it. Like that's the whole total votes he got for president. He was not becoming president anytime soon. Now, but apparently he did get quite a following.
Fuck yeah, he did. Thousands.
15,000 is the conservative estimate, but some people have said 150,000, but I think 15,000.
He had branches in every state. So there were chapters in every state, which start to look a lot like the KKK, right? And maybe that is the birth of, now you're seeing neo-Nazis and KKK, and all these groups are like, you hate the Jews, I hate the Jews. All right, let's get together and have breakfast. Like they're just these.
This is the point, nonsense. Right? So when they talk about was everybody Silver Legionnaires? Okay, well,
probably not, but they were affiliates of
probably shared.
And he had a similar idea about enslaving the black community and taking away what rights they had.
He called for a Christian commonwealth in America that would combine the principles. I love this: racism, nationalism, and theocracy, while excluding Jews and non-whites. He would save America from the Jewish community, just as Mussolini in his black shirts saved Italy, and as Hitler in his brown shirts saved Germany. That did not happen for either of those two countries.
No. So he basically ousted from being president or any kind of representative, and he ended up fucking fighting the House of Commons for like years.
And this apparently really kicked the ass of the Silver Legion, because a lot of their money got tied up in these endless battles he was fighting with, the government.
Well, I want to be a fascist. I want to be racist. I want to be this and I want to be that. Yeah. Okay. Well, you just can't fucking do that in the land of the free, asshole. So we'll take you to court and we'll tie you up. Government has lots of money. They can fucking. Anyway, I guess they end up arresting his followers and seizing his property at some point in 1940. And I think it was under
Pearl
this
Harbor
Nazi.
Happened, right?
Yes. Well, Pearl Harbor happened in 41.
Yes.
And they believe that was what the straw that broke the camel's back.
That was the Murphy's Ranch that got closed down. But prior to that, early 1940s, basically the subcommittee on un-American activities had begun to investigate silver shirts. Mm-hmm. Witnesses testified silvers were plotting over the government. When subpoenaed, Pelly originally refused to testify.
Really? Huh.
Yes, he made a surprise appearance before the committee. And here's how, by the way, folks, not to go off and endear yourself to people. Professed his desire to become America's Hitler.
Oh, perfect. You asshole. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Do you have to go any further? I mean, seriously.
Yeah. And so once the attack on Pearl Harbor happened, he actually was fairly intelligent. He said, I'm going to disband the Silver Legion because clearly the winds of change are blowing on us right now. So I need to go off and do something. So he continued to attack the government, though. And do you know what eventually got him arrested?
Oh, something insider trading or something.
Well, he got nailed for fraud, but that was something else. I'm talking where the government actually charged him with sedition.
Oh, no. Oh.
When he basically said that the government was lying about the level of devastation that happened at Pearl Harbor. So basically, he was saying, no, Pearl Harbor is way worse than the government's telling you. Like, it's not, we're good. No, it's terrible. Like, it's awful.
Yeah.
We are so screwed.
We're screwed.
So that's what nailed him. They nailed him for sedition. Now they started scooping up a bunch of followers at this point, right? Once Pearl Harbor happened, a bunch of stuff. The FBI raided like Murphy Ranch. So much stuff started happening where the U.S. was really mobilizing to. Now they also doing other things like putting Japanese in internment camps.
Yes, and Germans. And Italians in some instances. I mean, and they did that here in Canada too. That wasn't unique to America.
It's not a good thing. However, when you think about the idea, back to our fifth columnist, you've got what you worry about subversives who could be supporting the other side, and they're already here. You're like, oh Jesus, hey Mario, come over here.
That's right.
I have a camp I want you to go to.
And unfortunately that happened, and some of them stayed in those areas. Now, I believe that they were pretty hospitable in comparison, obviously, to the German. They weren't treated anywhere near.
Oh, it was not concentration camps. So
No.
full stop. However, if you get a chance, look into the Japanese internment camps in the States.
Oh, okay.
They were not great. Now, again, like you said, this was not a case of, hey, by the way, we're going to fence an area and let you guys all sleep under the stars. No,
And
but
not
it's like
feed you.
here,
Yeah.
we put together essentially barracks. Okay. And if you've ever been in the military,
Right.
it is not comfortable, easy living when you're staying in barracks or any of that, right? Like no matter what they say, no, here's your bed. Congratulations.
I kind of meant that they would have had warm clothes and at least warm areas, and they would have had
warmer than outside areas. Yes, you're right. It was warmer than being outside, but it's like you would have this massive like barracks, like which essentially think like a longhouse with like one wood stove in it.
Right. Gotcha.
So, I mean, cold. Again, we're not talking nice insulation. We're probably not talking nice thick paned windows. We're talking, okay, it's going to be cold and drafty and
right. Gotcha.
But you're not dying. So that's important.
You're not. Yeah. Well, that we know of.
Well, okay. Yeah, that we know of. I don't know too much about the
100 years from now, we may be going,
no, true.
weird.
That's right.
A whole lot of Germans and Japanese Americans ended up disappearing. I don't know that for sure.
I haven't heard anything about that. I do know there's a lot of stories about, detainees. I'm not going to call them survivors because people didn't die. I mean, there were people who died because, again, these were harsher conditions, right?
For sure.
If you were sick, a doctor would see you, but really, I mean, don't expect going to get your cancer meds.
And you know what's funny? We don't really learn about any of this in school either. You know, you don't learn about sort of the darker side of what happened in your own country. Speaking of which, in Canada, did you ever hear of a little something called the Christian National Socialist Party?
Sounds like a fun group.
That later became the National Unity Party of Canada.
I'm into unity. Is unity not good?
No. Well, this party was formed by a fellow named Adrian R. Cand in 1934. It was known as the, like I said, it started out as this Christian National Socialist. It sounds so nice.
It's like people who add democratic to their, countries that add democratic to their name, like the Democratic Republic. Yeah, like
the Democratic racists.
Well, I'm thinking more like North Korea, right? The Democratic Republic of Korea or North Korea or whatever, right? Which is anything but democratic.
Right. Well, but this guy, so he was Quebec based.
There we go.
Nothing against Quebecers. You're your own people. They were fascists and anti-Semites. And this dude, Arcand, he fucking loved Hitler. And he loved to be called the Canadian Fuhrer. He loved that. That was like his fucking thing.
And did he get called it, or is that like, because in prison you're not supposed to come up with your own prison nickname?
I think was this asshole actually became his own person and was like, "Hey, I'm the Canadian Fuhrer, mes amis. Bonjour, comment ça va? Don't like anybody, the Jew, the black, the Japanese."
I'm apologizing in advance to our entire French audience of 3 people that. The accent and language Phil is demonstrating here does not represent the opinions of Ordered Chaos.
Correct. But based on the knowledge that I have about this party, sorry, I'm part French. I can fucking.
You're not part French.
I could be.
What
I'm
part
a
of you from the neck
I
up?
don't even know my father. He could have been French. I mean, seriously.
No, that's no true.
That is true. Don't know him, but I know he was a handsome fella. What?
It's the joys of not knowing your father, right? Go for a DNA test, man. I'm 2% indigenous. Did you know that?
I could tell. I saw you make a fire once. All right.
I do not make fires at all. Well,
so get this. I did not know any of this. I'm a Canadian who believes he has a fairly decent understanding of our own history and governmental situations. I never even fucking knew this existed. This was a legit party, Corey.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so they based their activities on like neo-Nazi type structure. He loved Adolf Hitler. This is in 34. This is
Now, you call it neo-Nazi? Because neo-Nazi means new Nazi. I mean, technically, it would have been just Nazi,
old
right?
Nazi. It would have been Nazi. Sorry. Yeah. So in June 1938, the party merged with Nazi and other racist clubs in Ontario and Quebec. So yes, Ku Klux Klan, you name it. They merged with these, many of which were known as swastika clubs. So there were swastika clubs. Their actual insignia, and I'll have it up here, is a red swastika.
Don't.
Oh no, I guess we'll get a. Yeah, I can't do it. But that was their actual sign. And then they formed the National Unity Party convention held in Kingston, Ontario. So Kingston, Ontario became this hub of like racists and fascists. And that fucking happened, man.
Do you think they should put that on their license plates? The hub of racism.
Well, I mean, they just met there. I don't know if it was geographic or it was just like, well, Kingston's kind of close. It's in the middle between Toronto and Ottawa. What the fuck? All right, we'll meet there. Hate will travel. Hate fucking always travels. So, so they
probably
were called,
something to do with the trains, I suspect. Actually, I wonder.
Trans-Canada train. Yeah, this is 1938.
So
yeah, so he tried to create a pan-Canadian English-French nationalistic political movement based on the Nazi racial. Yeah, this is and it was based on the National Socialist Nazi Party in Germany. He proceeded to Toronto, where his new party held a rally of 800 supporters at Massey Hall. So he had 800 people in the going, yes, down with the Jews, don't like the blacks. Indigenous people, you suck. We want you all gone. And that was it too. So yeah, so do yourself a favor and read up on this guy. Like, it's fucking crazy. They were colloquially known as the blue shirts. Commonly
what is with shirts?
Right? Well, they take it from, like you said, like from Hitler and Mussolini with his black shirts. So they commonly fought with immigrants, Canadian minorities, and leftist groups. That was their common thing. They boasted it would seize power in Canada, but the party obviously exaggerated its own shit. So in May of 1940, May 30th, actually, the party was banned, thank fuck, under the Defense of Canada regulations of the War Measures Act.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is total sedition sort of stuff. They're saying, hey, we're at war with Nazi Germany, by the way, douchebags.
Yeah, right. And Arcand and many of his followers were arrested and detained for the duration of the war. So yeah, Canada went, okay, so you're a fucking supporter of Nazis and Germany and all this other shit. You're fucking gone.
Well, at least we were part. So we were part of the war effort earlier than the U.S. So
39.
Let's just hop back 1 second to our buddies, the Silver Legion. Did you know the organization held a 20,000 person rally at Madison Square Garden?
No, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Under a giant banner of George Washington, flanked by swastikas. They roughed up a Jewish protester, rushed the stage, manhandling him and ripping off his pants.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know.
But George Washington was a fucking slave owner. You know, he was totally killing the indigenous population of America. He's a founding father, but I mean, he wasn't a nice
because
guy.
He fought the British. He fought the British and won. He was apparently a masterful retreater.
He was British.
Well, they were all British at one point.
Well, of course, we were all British.
And wooden teeth, right?
Oh, did he have wooden teeth?
I want to say that was the method. I think you could actually get actual teeth, but you needed them from somebody to get actual teeth.
Oh,
yeah. And I seem to remember something about you could carve them of ivory, but I've always seen George Washington, at least in parody, with wooden teeth.
Really? I had no idea. Anyway, on that note, so 20,000 people of like-minded
Madison Square
Garden. But this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like this National Unity Party in Canada. We're Canadian. Everyone goes, oh, they're so nice. No, we're not all nice. Fuck no. We treat our indigenous people like Hitler treated as not like his Jews. I mean, it's not far off. In fact, we killed
There's certainly
more.
a lot of neglect there for sure, and there's a lot of anger and hatred towards for not really any good reason.
No, because people suck. I think humans by nature are
we're terrible people.
We're terrible fucking organisms that basically inhabit this earth. And I'm not saying I'm any better than anyone else, but what I am saying is that there's a lot of fucked up shit out there. And it still exists. So
and we keep doing it. That's the unfortunate part, right? So this is where that
and we choose a different fucking target. Now it's the Muslims. Oh God, he's a Muslim. Fuck. Or the people from East India type idea, the Pakistan and anywhere,
Sri Lanka and
any of they're taking all our jobs. Oh, you mean the jobs that you don't want to work? Right. Okay. Those are the jobs that you don't want to do because you're white privileged and you don't really, it doesn't matter that, you expect that you should be paid more or that you should be more important than working at Burger King. Come on. They're ruining everything. Fuck off. Get a grip. Stop hating. Just fucking worry about yourself.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done tirading.
Yeah, I was going to say, Phil's rant brought to you by Pepsi.
Right? But I hear it all the time. Oh, there's the brown people working. They got all the jobs. It's like, no, they just want to work and they're willing to work. And they're willing to work for less than you because you think you're better than that.
Well, they're willing to do jobs. They're not necessarily willing to work for less. They're willing to do jobs you aren't willing to do. So whatever that job pays, they're not saying, hey, I'll come in. Don't hire Phil for $10. I'll come in at $5. It's like, no, you're advertising this job. I will go work it. And by the way, to make ends meet, I will also work 2 other jobs.
Well, and I, I've known quite a few, fellas that, I worked with one fella. His name was RC. And, that's not his name, but I can never pronounce his real name. I'm sorry, RC. But, I couldn't. And everyone called him RC. He was totally
I had a buddy
cool.
named AK. Same idea. I was like, I worked with him and he just said, call me AK. Like, thank you. I appreciate that.
I could never say your name. And I ended up getting him a job where I worked, doing overnights. And this fucking guy did overnights. Was super good, fucking clean, did everything that he needed to do. And then he didn't go to bed. He went to another job and worked until like 2:30 in the afternoon, slept for 4 hours, and then came back to work. And that was okay to him, and that was to get ahead. Yeah. So he was willing to put the time and energy in, and that's why people hate them. That's why people don't like them.
Now there are cases, so it's easy to say every case is, oh, look, it's the fella has working the 3 jobs. And there are other cases where you're like, okay, they come and they take advantage of the social systems that exist here.
For sure.
Just like we do. Exactly like we do.
Or that they see the opportunity there.
Yes,
we
because
just
there is
complain.
opportunity and we get blind to it.
We're blind. We're absolutely blind. We live in one of the greatest fucking countries on the planet. Yep. And, like my growing up poor is not like a dude growing up poor in Pakistan. That is a very different poor.
Very different poor.
Doesn't matter how you
might not necessarily had the best food, but we always ate.
That's right. We had food and we were in a, reasonably warm house. May not have been a brand new house, but with like the level of like
couldn't drink the water, but that was the deer falling in the well.
You don't want to do that. Let's not go there with the water, but yeah, and it's one of those things where now, the Jews in Germany the Jews are controlling the banks. The Jews are controlling the politics. The Jews. So we hate the Jews. And then look what happens. Right. And then it moves from to ethnic group to ethnic group.
Does keep coming back to the poor Jews, though. It seems to come back to them consistently.
Get the shit kicked out of them. Fuck. Stop picking on the Jews, for God's sakes. It's true. I mean, I had no idea until we started doing this podcast how everything we've touched on somehow rolls back to Jews being persecuted.
Well, again,
Except for
this
Bigfoot.
Murphy Ranch, you can't read Murphy Ranch without saying anti-Semite Nazis.
Racists.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're not white, and what does even white mean anymore? It doesn't.
Like
it
I
makes
said,
no sense.
I'm mongrel. Again, now,
Yes, you
I
are.
want to say it's like mostly Scottish, a bunch of Irish, some French.
Cro-Magnon with that jaw. I'm just saying.
The Cro-Mags have the brow ridge, okay, not the jaws.
Wait. I have a bit of a brow ridge.
Well, you and Ron Perlman and that guy, who's the fellow who played on Stranger
Perlman.
Things, the sheriff?
Oh, that's oh fuck.
David, is it David something or other?
It is.
And
Fuck.
he's got
a brow.
like he could actually rest stuff on. I think I saw him like.
Did you see him in Black Widow?
Yes, I thought he did a great job as
he was hilarious. He was
fat
absolutely
Captain America.
or the Russian Captain America. He's like, look at Fitz. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I hear you.
That's Phil trying to get into his Captain America outfit.
Yeah, every day trying to suit up.
He was also Hellboy. So
He
this
did-
is where
He did
the
okay as
reboot.
Hellboy.
Yeah.
I
Although
don't
Ron
think
Perlman did Hellboy before, which I honestly thought were better movies. Although
They
the
were.
reboot with him and Mila Jovovich was probably a little bit more close to the subject matter and material.
Oh, really? I see.
Yeah.
I only remember. I never read the actual Hellboy comics or anything. So
They're not awesome. They're okay.
yeah. Well, you would know, but Ron Perlman. I mean, it's hard to beat Ron Perlman being an asshole.
I saw him in what was the bikers? Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah. My wife calls him Charlie Hunnam. She goes Charlie Num Num.
Oh, gotcha. Jason
Shit.
Mimosa.
No,
Charlie
that's
Num
what she
Num?
calls. Yeah, Jason Mimosa and Charlie Num Num.
She is so I don't know what to say, Phil.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Women can say whatever they want. Men, we say shit like that. We're pigs. Women, they get away with
It's
it.
true.
It's fine.
You can say
Num
Charlie
Num.
Num Num, Phil. Go ahead.
Charlie Num Num. No? Anyway.
You want me to recap our situation here? Because we have deviated a little bit far afield now that we're talking about Charlie Num Num and Jason Mimosa.
Fair enough. Why
So-
don't you?
Murphy Ranch, a compound set up by wannabe Hitlers. Essentially, that's it.
Yes.
Didn't go anywhere. They spent $4 million setting this self-sufficient utopia that never really took off.
Never got off the
And-
ground.
Then Pearl Harbor happened, and it turns out the U.S. lost a lot of tolerance when it came to people being Nazi fucks.
Talking shit. Talking shit. You know what? Shit talkers deserve that. Anyway. Fuck you, Nazis. Fuck you. Anyway, back to what are we doing next week? Well,
I don't know. It's
I'm gonna
technically
tell
over to
you.
you. Phil, what are we doing next week? Now, we're not doing next week. So
Yes, it's going to be. We're changing it up bi-monthly, so we can do a little bit more in terms of our creative to bring
Phil
you.
can do more of his creative. I might do some crazy boards, but that
You
Phil's
never know. Yeah,
shouldering
what
the load on
happens.
creativity.
I want to do the Jonestown Massacre since we're talking about.
Jonestown. Oh, there we Jim Jones. Yeah.
They're fucked. And I actually ran across them while I'm, when you get into like weird fascist occult sort of stuff. And I was like,
Communes, bizarre stuff. Yes.
how you can make regular Joes believe shit that just doesn't make any sense to the rest of us. So I think it's we haven't really done any occulty sort of, cult shit.
Well, and this is more cult-like as opposed
cult,
to occulty.
yeah, not
'cause-
occult, but
Yeah.
cult. Yeah. But yeah, so that'll be next week. So
not next week. It'll be.
the week after. They won't know though. You won't know in this time.
We have
frame.
people who monitor this channel weekly and expect top
I know.
shelf booze or quality or something.
That's good. Well,
All
there's lots
200
to
of our
watch through.
subscribers.
You can watch through. We have lots of content. Please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching the OC. I'm Phil. This is my co-host Corey. And next week, Jonestown Massacre, or 2 weeks from now, whatever. Have a good night. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe.
Take care, folks. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.